Good morning. This is Daily Hebrew Declarations with Daniel Jedediah Cook, and I'm reading the declaration for today, January the 29th, 2021. The three Hebrew letters we're honoring today are Mem, Yehuda, and Shin. Now, Judah or Yehuda is one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Along with those three living letters, we're also honoring the spirit of understanding, the spirit of knowledge, and the spirit of might. The declaration today reads this: essence of upper and lower waters, the depths, a mixing of blood and water. Praise to Yahweh, hearing a word of Yahweh and allowing that change to become more like Him. Today's declaration begins talking about that place of the essence of the upper and the lower waters. And there's many different ways to look at this. I mean, I can look even just inside of my body and see the place of the upper and the lower waters. You know, the place of, if you will, the upper waters, which would be the air that surrounds us and the moisture that's found inside of that air. The lower waters being the waters inside of us. You know, I could break it down into the skin being moisture, and there being the upper waters and the lower waters being that of inside. You see, there's so many different ways that you can see the upper and lower waters, but all of them point to the same thing. And that is that place of the coming together of the two being one. You see, the upper and the lower waters there really are talking about that heaven and earth connection, that connection in the fullness of Yahweh's promises. You know, I look here on the earth, and I'm probably going to get a little science and geeky here on you in just a little bit, but I look here on the earth, and of course, we see the waters that are surrounding the earth even now, and we see the placement of the way the waters are. We look and think about during the time before Noah, and there were no places, there was really everything that was being watered from out of the earth itself. The water itself was coming up from the earth and watering the ground. And there were no places for the sea, hence the reason why Noah was heckled so much in the fact that there was going to be built a boat, because there was no water nearby where they were at all whatsoever. And yet the word of the Lord came and accomplished. The upper waters and the lower waters came together as one. And so in that whole place, you know, we think about the waters here on the earth, but you know, when you start talking about the cosmos itself, I start to think about the place of how the cosmos itself works. You know, there is a concept in a lot of theoretical physicists, theoretical astrophysicists, that all believe, and that there is a specific thing that they don't know how to name, and they don't know what to call it, because the only thing they've been able to call it is dark matter and dark energy. They know the effects of it, they can see the effects of it, but they can't tell you exactly what it is. But to me, every time I see that, now I'm not an astrophysicist, you know, nor am I a theoretical astrophysicist, but I know for me, every time I see it, I see this place of water. And when I hear the scripture in it talking about the place of the upper and the lower waters coming together as one, then the way that our entire cosmos, in my opinion, works is that dark energy is a type of water. I've asked this question before a couple of different times, and not really had a whole lot of dialogue or answer or response to it, because it's one of those things that's like, okay, but does a fish know that it lives in water? Does it? Or just does it know that what it needs is there, and then it moves from one place to another, and it has the parts in order to be able to propel through that particular type of medium? But does a fish really fully understand that it's in water or not? I don't know. That's a good question. And so when we look at that, you know, and we look at that as a whole, then I start to ask that question: Yahweh, the water of your word, the water of your word in us, that water that provides everything that we need. You know, everything has been coming back to that for me, because it's the establishment of knowing and understanding that Yahweh has already given us all things that pertain unto life and godliness. He's given us the things that we've needed. We're not standing in this place of wanting or needing more. We're really standing in this place of asking, Yahweh, how do I appropriate what you've already given me? Do I need more than what I currently have? And if I do, may I withdraw from the treasuries of heaven to then move from that place? You see, to me, that is a more beautiful picture of faith, because then faith is not about getting more mustard seed. It's about realizing that my one little tiny mustard seed, the measure of faith that Yahweh has given me from the beginning, has always been more than enough to be able to fulfill the word of Yahweh in the earth, and my word, the word of Yahweh to me in the earth. You see what I mean? So when we talk about this, this is where that place of the mixing of the blood and the water come together. The mixing of the dam. The Hebrew word for blood is dam. And matter of fact, it's very similar to Adam. And they're connected together. But dam is spelt with a dalet and a mem. So dalet, talking about the place of the door, but it's also the place of choice. It talks about the passage through something, and also what comes in and what goes out. And of course, the mem, or the mem final in this case, talks about the fullness of not only just the treasuries of heaven, but also the fullness of Yahweh, the fullness of his essence, the fullness of his heart, the fullness of all he is, the fullness of his supply, the fullness of his care, his love, and his thoughts towards us are all wrapped up inside of that mem. And so when we talk about the mixing of the blood and water, you've got the dam, the dalet, and the mem. The water is in that. The water is a part of our blood. But what else does the blood do? The blood is also a life-giving fluid that allows that as we breathe oxygen into our system, it attaches itself onto the blood and some of the red blood cells, and it carries it to our very cells in our body. Well, think about that. Aren't the angelic, aren't the angels, aren't the living letters, aren't the very things that Yahweh's placed into existence carriers of his glory to bring that to what? His sons, to establish and say, hey, this earth is established by Almighty Yahweh. And we are standing in that place where we're declaring the establishment of Yahweh's word here in the earth, throughout all of the earth. You see, that is why we want to give praise to Yahweh. Hearing a word of Yahweh and allowing that change to become more like him. Allowing that beginning to see things a little bit differently, to look more like him. Michelle and I have been in a place here lately where I know that we've been focused very heavily on Yahweh. Yahweh's taken us and set us aside and had us to focus just on him. And it's been beautiful. We've got some exciting things coming up with the new year of the School of the Living Letters that begins February the 11th. If you'd like to join us, there will be a link in today's podcast. And we've also got the Living Letter Mentor Series, which will be going out to the UK and South Africa, as well as to the Asia Pacific region. And so we've got some awesome and wonderful things coming up. Very, very close to coming up. We've got some conferences coming up in March, and I'm really excited because Michelle's going to get an opportunity to speak at her first conference on March the 6th down here in Picayune, Mississippi. So we would love for you guys to be there, and would love for you to tune into live stream if you can. But the heart of all of this really has to do with this one thing. That heart of praise, that heart of worship, that heart of really, can I get real here with you guys? It's almost a little scary because when I say that, because sometimes I may say some things that kind of rattle a little bit, and pray, don't get me wrong, praise and worship is absolutely necessary. That's not what I'm talking about. Because I am so thankful and praise Yahweh for all that he's done and all that he's doing. But it's I almost see sometimes, at least in my own life, where there can be so many times that I could be like this, and this is going to sound like a silly analogy, but work with me here. I stand in front of the refrigerator and say, "Thank you, refrigerator, for all you do." But until I open up that refrigerator and do something with what's inside, then there's nothing. All I'm doing is standing in front of the refrigerator and thanking the refrigerator for what it's done. There's a time of engagement, and that time is now.